the Bannon thing is, I mean, putting aside the fact that it's Bannon, the important thing is that had the Department of Justice not upheld this contempt of Congress, sent it to a grand jury, the grand jury decided, there would have been a complete destruction of the ability of Congress to perform proper oversight, not just in the context of people who are plotting to overthrow the government, as the January 6th Commission is investigating, but people who are like sort of not looking to overthrow the government, just control the government or to poison citizens or whatever it is. And so this is really important for two reasons. One, it empowers Congress's ability to investigate. Hugely important. Hugely important. They need the ability to hold people in contempt if they won't come and testify. Whether it's like tobacco executives or Facebook executives or Google executives or Steve Bannon and Mark Meadows. I mean, we're going to start to see a cavalcade of this. And I'm here for it. Plus, it's, I think, very important to understand what was going on and who was plotting what. And the only way you explain to the American public the severity of these things. And I'm also, like, in the back of my mind, I'm also thinking about these emails that were released about how the White House was dealing with the CDC in their attempts to warn people about COVID. I mean, I think there is a case to be made that there are, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people died who did not have to die.
Deborah Birx said as much. Yeah. Right? Did she not exactly say that as a part of the task force that,
It's some of her testimony?
I forget exactly in which context, but I believe she said the Trump administration's policies resulted in an extra thousands and thousands of deaths.
There's a difference between policies that were mistakes. Do you understand?
Yes.
And policies that are set out specifically with a total reckless disregard for the lives that were going to be lost. And it is the latter. And I think that is becoming in more and more clear, that they actively inhibited the ability of the CDC to respond in the way that they needed to respond to this.
I mean, that was obvious. Trump was basically saying the more testing we do, the more cases we're going to find. So we shouldn't do any more testing. He only saw it through the lens of how the PR was going to be for himself.
Better not to know.
And there, and I think there was, without a doubt, and I think there was a feeling of like, well, we'll let maybe what they're doing is letting the old man blow off some steam. In the meantime, we're going to be doing everything we need to do.
The adults behind the scenes are taking care of it, right?
And it turns out, no, the adults actually were being basically told, like, you can't do this. We're not going to let you warn the American public. And it is, this administration, talk about January 6th, that's all well and good. I would like to see, and obviously these CDC emails are coming out but I would like to see that committee forefronted. And I would like to see subpoenas issued there. And I would like to see, you want to talk about, show trials. That's what we should be seeing. But getting back to the January 6th, what number was that again? 9. Senator John Barrasso, Republican from Wyoming, sat down with ABC's George Stephanopoulos this weekend. And George Stephanopoulos, I guess, I don't know how Barrasso didn't prepare for this, but there's audio of Donald Trump saying it was common sense that people would be angry enough to hang Mike Pence. Now, in any other context, I would probably agree with him. I mean, obviously, I'm joking. I think Mike Pence is loathsome, but I would probably just jail him. I wouldn't resort to that type of
Make him do some work.
Make him have dinner in a room with a woman by himself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just put mental torture, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
We're going to tell your wife that you ate in a restaurant full of women. What do you think about that? But nevertheless, here's Senator John Barrasso, unable to really respond to what Stephanopoulos is presenting him.
Were you worried about him during that siege? Were you worried about his safety?
No, I thought he was well protected, and I had heard that he was in good shape. No,
you heard those chants. That was terrible. I mean, it was,
He could have. Well, the people were very angry.
They're saying hang Mike
Because
Pence.
it's common sense. How can you, if you know a vote is fraudulent, right?
Yeah.
How can you pass on a fraudulent vote to Congress?
So he says, hang Mike Pence is common sense. Can your party tolerate a leader who defends murderous chants against his own vice president?
Well, let me just say, the Republican Party is incredibly united right now, and it's because of the policies of this administration. And I think the more that the Democrats and the press becomes obsessed with President Trump, I think the better it is for the Republican Party. President Trump brings lots of energy to the party. He's an enduring force. But elections are about the future, not the past. And that's what we saw in Virginia and all across the country. And the Republican policies and the Trump policies of a strong economy and American energy, not begging Vladimir Putin to produce more oil, which is what Joe Biden is doing. Those are policies that we're going to continue to run on in the future.
So you have no problem with the president saying, hang Mike Pence is common sense?
I was with Mike Pence in the Senate chamber during January 6th, and what happened was they quickly got Vice President Pence out of there, certainly a lot faster than they removed the senators. I believed he was safe the whole time. I didn't hear any of those chants. I don't believe that he did either. And Vice President Pence came back into the chamber that night and certified the election.
Well, we just played the chants. I'm asking if you believe, if you can tolerate the president saying, hang Mike Pence is common sense.
It's not common sense. But there are issues of every election. I voted to certify the election, and what we have seen on this election, there are areas that needed to be looked into, like what we saw in Pennsylvania. We all want fair and free elections. That's where we need to go for the future.
Well, you know, as he's talking, it honestly felt like someone had a Barrasso, John Barrasso soundboard. And they were just struggling with the only responses they had.
The sequencing. Was
they just didn't have anything to like actually address the question.
So what he says there that's most notable is Trump brings a lot of energy.
Apparently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, cool, right? Then there's no reason to, if it's in your self-interest and you're able to ride it, there's no reason to actually tamp it down in any way.
But Stephanopoulos, I'm annoyed that he went about the chance and not the question of was the vote fraudulent or not? Because they're in the Schrodinger's vote thing of it was a fraudulent vote or it wasn't. We eventually let Biden win. But ask about that. Do you think that vote was fraudulent? Because how people reacted to a fraudulent vote when Trump says, if you know a vote is fraudulent, well, we don't know that. That's a lie.
The next question should have been, well, if it was not common sense, why? What was the underlying? Yes, it would be nice if they really just, set out to really make these politicians address this thing that is existing 11 months after the election.
Our big lie.
Yep.
Part of the issue, too, is that Pence seems okay with all of this, right? I mean, Mike Pence isn't speaking out about this kind of quote.
Yep.
They're all okay with whatever energy Donald Trump brings, even if we're playing with fire, obviously.
How many hours a day do you think that Mike Pence practices responding to this question for the Republican debates? Well, I'm sure Donald was my president, and he's quite a guy, and it's a turn of a phrase, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, I mean,
don't leave me hanging.
Are we sure they
do leave me hanging?
Hang me as the next president,
right?
In the rafters.
Hang 10. I mean, come on.
He can't practice that in the mirror though, because looking at himself in the mirror is obviously one of the 7 deadly sins.
Is that illegal?
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to find fake but real sounding puritanical beliefs of Mike Pence.
Yeah, I don't think mirror. I have a feeling he spends a lot of time in front of the mirror.
I don't know if he even shows up in the mirror, to be honest.